Saratoga Township's a farming community just south of St. Charles, Minnesota. I've lived and my family's lived here for 35 years. I've never been to the state capitol prior to today. I believe the issue of frac sand mining is important, and that's why I'm here today. The township where I live is a proposed site of 7 sand mines within an area of about 2 miles by 5 miles. The first EAWs for 3 mine proposals comprise a total of about 130 acres. Each of the 3 mines would generate from 300 to 600 truck trips a day. The mining process involves blasting numerous pieces of earth-moving equipment, lighting, sifting, sorting, from 6 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. This is from their figures that they filed with their EAWs. The companies estimate a minimum of a 20-year supply of silica sand in Saratoga Township. These mine proposals are in addition to a washing plant proposal near St. Charles. It's to be the largest such facility in the United States. Last Friday, I drove a journalist around our township. He's here today. He's a famous person. We were touring the proposed mine areas for about 2 hours. In those 2 hours, we passed 3 vehicles. That was on a weekday. We drove past dozens of Amish and English farms, many cattle, horses, hundreds of acres of productive farmland, and the families that live here in a safe, healthy, productive environment. If the proposed mines start their enterprise here, our environment, atmosphere, resources are changed forever. What was a scenic, safe farming community will become a heavily industrialized area. I have visited personally the mine sites that are in production in Wisconsin, and I've seen the actual practice of silica production. I'm very concerned about the water quality and quantity, our air quality related to both diesel and particulate silica, the tremendous traffic and equipment activity and noise, as well as the permanent change to our countryside. A vast majority of the people in our community have signed a petition to arrest the progress of this industry. We want to see a statewide moratorium on the growth of silica mining in Minnesota. Thank you.
Any other questions anyone has? Or
what about the timing? The governor has said that he wants the legislature to get out front on this.
Right.
Are they already behind?
Well, a bill's going to be introduced this week, and the hearing on that bill will be next week. And so we are hopeful that we'll address all our concerns. We think it will, and we're going to push to get something passed. If we get something passed this session, we think it will be in time. Next session's too late, and it will end up with what happened with the large-scale factory farms in Minnesota, where we went later and we outlawed open-air hog lagoons because they were making people sick. We set a hydrogen sulfide standard after we learned it was already harming people. We can get it right if the legislature listens to the folks that came up here and does something this session.
Bobby, is the goal of this to limit where the mines go, or is it to just stop the mines from coming into southeastern Minnesota altogether?
Well, I'd say we want what we just said. We want these permitting standards that are meaningful.
I know, but the overall goal, I know what you said, but the overall goal 10 years from now is what?
Well, I think local governments will decide whether or not they want to completely ban the activity. And I know some townships will, and I know some counties will probably get there. So we think that's a decision local governments should make about whether or not to ban it outright. But at the state level, we have to make sure if it is allowed, it doesn't pollute the region's air and water and deplete our groundwater.
Can you give an estimate of, in southeastern Minnesota, how many communities are operating under a temporary moratorium imposed by a local jurisdiction, and how many really have no regulation at the moment?
Does someone know the answer to that? I mean, we have someone from every county, or we could do it county by county. Houston County has a moratorium and will be extending theirs probably soon. Is that right, Kelly?
Yes. And
What?
we're working on ordinances at this time and have had a public meeting about the ordinances, but they are in no way comprehensive or inclusive of everything that needs to be in there. So they're extending a moratorium to be able to do that.
Fillmore County has ordinances enacted, David, is that right?
Right. Fillmore County had a moratorium, a one-year moratorium, and enacted a strict ordinance in November.
Goodhue County?
Well, I can speak for Goodhue County has had a one-year moratorium extended to 2 years. It'll expire September 1st of this year. And within Goodhue County, there are townships, Florence Township, Hay Creek, that have also enacted their own moratorium and may extend in Florence Township if we need to. We've been working on our zoning ordinance. I think Hay Creek, and I hate to speak for them, but I think that they're really close to adopting their ordinance.
So I think that's important. A lot of townships are taking this on and enacting good ordinances. Winona County, their moratorium is lifted. They have an ordinance, and everyone's probably seen the papers. They're currently struggling with whether or not to do an environmental impact statement on two proposed mines, which land stewardship projects and others definitely think they're required to do by law.
And Bobby, the city of Winona is just nearing the end of its one-year moratorium. And they will be considering in the coming weeks some special statutes and ordinances to regulate the industry.
But some people here live in places where there's no regulation, there's no moratorium at the moment.
The city of Wabasha is just looking at starting a moratorium, and the county of Wabasha is finishing up their ordinance. It's, in my opinion, leaves us a little vulnerable. We would like to see more of a decree that we should be allowed to do the environmental impact statements. But again, that's going to be a local decision.
Give us an idea of how many sand mines are active now in Minnesota.
David, do you know?
In the city of Winona, we have Byzance mine lasting 2 summers ago, twice a day, 4 to 5 days a week for over 3 months. The city of Winona, even though our moratorium is ending, already has 7 currently operating businesses or proposed businesses. One is the mine in the city limits. There are washing facilities and there are transport facilities operating in the city of Winona currently. 2 of the mines that are coming in from, proposed to come in from Saratoga Township in the western part of the county will bring in 1,200 truck trips per day for washing and transport out. That's just 2 of the mines from that area.
How many are operating now, right now? Is there one?
There's 1 mine in Byzance in the city of Winona. It was grandfathered in. There are 3 washing facilities and 2 or 3 transport facilities.
And where else?
Fillmore County has one small operating mine right now that wants to expand. Fillmore County ordinance limits the total number of mines in Fillmore County to 5 and does not allow any kind of processing facility or washing facility in the county.
I just think that's important. It's not only the mines, it's the processing facilities and the transportation hubs. And the processing facilities use very nasty chemicals and concentrate the truck traffic.
That's a tricky.
Can I ask a question, please? My name is Dennis Schmitz. I'm the Lime Township Supervisor down in Brewer County, and we have a proposer that has put together a plan for silica sand mining and a processing plant. We did not have a moratorium when he brought this to the board meeting. Has anybody else dealt with the same issue? Can we put a moratorium on it now, even though they have not started construction?
Yep. We deal with that here at the Capitol every year. We fought to keep the moratorium power strong. You can safely enact a moratorium up until permits are issued. So yes, you can. You can. You absolutely have the right. And legal case history on that's very strong.
So there are threats of legal action if our township does that, doesn't carry a heck of a lot of weight?
Well, they can sue, but they will lose as long as you enact your moratorium properly, which you can do.
And they threatened annexation to the city.
So I think I just want to comment on that is what we see with this industry is a lot of bullying. They don't want to work it out with the local community.
They're the biggest bullies in the nation.
So others agree with that. Hey. Yeah.
Is it possible for any state to just say we don't want fracking, sand mining fracking?
Well, a county, a township, a city, or the state can do that, yeah. Yeah, they could do that, right, yeah, it's possible.
France?
Yeah, any other questions from reporters?
Is their sales pitch, is part of their sales pitch to the committee that you're helping America's energy independence? What do you say to that?
Well, I mean, they can do their own sales pitch. We don't feel like it's about energy independence. What they're here for is short-term profit at the expense of the local community. And if they want to do this, then they have to do it right. and they have to contribute to the tax base, they have to pay for the permitting fees, and they have to make sure they're not going to pollute our air and water. And we've seen what happens in Wisconsin when you let them do whatever they want. They destroy rural communities.
Can I just get hear a little bit more about that from Pat? We've seen the photographs and the scale of the operation, but from a person living in the town, can you talk a little bit about what it is that you experience in a negative way from these operations, just as a resident living there?
Well, I believe that there are emissions coming off the plant, the sands plant itself. The other piece is that we have 550 trucks coming in per day and another 550 leaving. That has a tremendous impact on the people who try to run the route. It's an emergency route. The rail comes through that. We have lots and lots of trains coming through our city they're called unit trains of 100 to 140 cars per unit running night and day. So there's lots of noise. We've had controversies about whether or not there should be quiet zones, but the city would have to put up like $350,000 plus another $40,000 a year to get a quiet zone enacted, and that would not guarantee that the people would be protected from injury or accident. There's lots. I think it affects everybody in the county. One of the things that has happened with we have EOG Resources in Chippewa Falls in the processing plant, formerly Enron. And when they leave the plant to carry the sludge back to the mine, which is about 15 miles away or maybe a little further, they're dribbling sludge on the pavement. So you see blips here and there and everywhere. It's wet when it drops on the pavement. The stuff evaporates into the air. They're probably flocculants. It includes baghouse waste, which is the finest kind of waste that you can find, plus the clay cakes, plus any other junk that they want to take back to the mine. So those are impacting residents. When those things escape into the air, we have no idea about where that fugitive dust will be carried. I just want to say that I hope the state of Minnesota has some kind of a standard for silica dust. It is hazardous. It has been proclaimed hazardous. You find bags of silica with the dust inside listed as hazardous. Wisconsin says it's hazardous, but they have absolutely no standard other than PM10s. And the PM 2.5s you can't see. I mean, all of this is preliminary. All of this work is they're doing all of these mines and so on. These are silica mines. They're giving off huge, massive amounts of silica. As you drive north, as tourists drive to the north, they see plumes of silica being taken off and carried off, probably 10 mines in the north, drifting across the highway, here and there and everywhere. Where that stuff lands, we don't know. Some of it you can see, but it's the invisible stuff within that plume that's the most dangerous.
Pat, how many mines, what kind of operations are in Wisconsin now?
Well, we have 11 mines. There's one that's still beginning or needs to be permitted in Chippewa County. But there are over 100 mines that the DNR tells us, and they cannot keep track of all of the mines. I have a map. If I'd had enough energy to carry it in, I would have shown it to you. There are several counties to the south that are not even on that map. It includes the mining operations, over 100 of them, processing plants, and transloading stations. And believe me, if there's anything that they want right now, it's transloading stations. We have there's a mine in Pierce County near Plum City that will be transporting its sand up through through Pierce, through Dunn County, and then over to Chippewa County for transloading. I had 2 trucks from the Chippewa Transport, they service EOG. They were on the highway today. They went past the Dunn County line, so they are going over and picking up sand someplace else to bring back to the plant. And I've been hearing rumors of that. I can almost confirm it today. I wished I could have just taken a little tour and followed them to wherever they were picking up their sand.
It's Wisconsin sand that is coming over to Wabasha.
And it comes into Winona also.
Thank you.
There are rivers also that have been polluted, and there aren't enough people to regulate the water pollution. And so citizens are having to regulate their own water. And there's pictures that citizens have taken of these flocculants going into the river, and you can see where it mixes with the river water, which sometimes is our drinking water.
Thanks, everyone. We're going to wrap up the press conference. Folks are here to answer more questions. The hearing room, use the bathroom. Our folks in the hearing room opens in 5 minutes. 123, get yourself a seat.